Hey, internets. Hobby Timmy here. I got something to show you. First look. Now, I should start this off. I got this on the secondary. That's where I'm getting a lot of my spinners these days because I'm trying to look for deals where I can to save a little bit of money because I buy quite a bit for this channel. But this is something I had my eye on for a little while. So I'm pretty sure this is how it comes. But if you get one new and it doesn't come this way, I apologize. Basically, I don't know if it comes in this pouch. The rest of this I know is how it comes. Ready? What is it? You know what it is because you've seen the thumbnail. Ba-boom, ba-boom. Compoform Hydra. Now let's talk about the presentation of this guy just for a little bit. I love the look of this. So despite all the things that I like polished, I have a thing, if you can't tell by my shipwreck patina stuff, that I kind of have things that, kind of a taste for things that are classical too. And for the most part, I also really appreciate good, simple design. So something that looks kind of aged and weathered, something that's got a real simple design, really speaks to me, and this has a lot of that going on. So this is the bronze version, the blackened bronze, and comes with an extra snap ring under there, so like really nice package. I mean, let's just look at this one more time. Listen to that sound. So good. So a lot of detail goes into this, which I appreciate. So let's take this out of here. We'll set that aside over here for a second. So let's just weigh this for a second. I'm using a different tripod today, so you guys can still see that though, right? So it's pretty heavy, all things considered. We're looking at 103.7, so pretty heavy. However, this is what's kind of interesting and what I really like about this guy. I didn't realize till I got it. Look at the size of the buttons on here. Probably should weigh it without the buttons too. Let's take the buttons off here for a second. So it uses a snap ring there, but look at the size. Now I believe this was originally done with an 608 bearing potentially, or a different size bearing. 70.9. And just to make sure we're calibrated, 50 on the nose. Okay. So we got a lot of weight in the middle here, real close to the bearing. We've got a hybrid ceramic bearing in there, I believe. Let me take this out here. I'm pretty sure that that's what they come with, but yeah, there. So it is an R188, just so you know. So it takes a standard bearing. And those look like hybrid ceramics to me from what I can see. It's hard to get the light in there just right. Those look like hybrid ceramics. So we're going to pop that back in there. Again, if you want to switch the bearing out, you're really going to want to get some snap ring pliers, or if you're like me, again, you've seen this, I just dremeled down the tip of some old clippers that I had. So we'll put that back in there. And these work great. Really well. All right. Is that in there all the way? All right. So big old buttons on this guy. Let me get my calipers out because I've been meaning to measure this as well. Look at it just sit there looking good. Well, I forgot to open up my box with my calipers in it. All right, let's do this in millimeters because that's what we care about for buttons. Almost 26, 25.8, so we'll call them 26. Really big buttons on this bad boy. And as far as I'm aware, that's the same size shoulder, so I don't think it matters which side the buttons go in. But let's talk about this guy now. So now we know the weight, we know a bit about it. We know the size of these buttons, big old buttons, we know the bearing that's in there. So what I was starting to say is, even though this is heavy, right, this is a pretty heavy spinner at 103 grams. So much of the weight is in the buttons and in the middle that you're actually not flicking a lot of weight. Now, if you look at these arms, they're super thin. They're super narrow arms. Comes into then a big, thick, chunky body, and then really kind of like really wide weights at the end. So what mass there is all on the outside, but this guy's actually really pleasing to spin because it feels heavy if you like a heavy spinner, but it spins and fidgets like a much lighter spinner. It spins and feels like you're working with like a 60-gram spinner, 50 to 60-gram spinner in terms of the fidgetability of it. Yet you have the weight and the heft in your hand, which I really like. I immediately was drawn to this guy in hand. So one thing I was really impressed with as well is how smooth it spins. So I know I'm not spinning it. We're just going to bring it up close so you guys can see the detail. Now again, I did get it secondhand, so any nicks and stuff, that might not be the case. I do like the edges on these are really round and smooth. So even this right here isn't a hard edge right along the side here. So it feels really nice to handle. Like that's a pretty soft, dull edge. And lots of nice rounding, especially right here in the ends where it counts. So I was impressed with how smooth this was. So it's a super smooth bearing in there. You really don't hear a lot. It's got a really cool spin effect. It flicks really well. So if you remember, you know, a lot of this looks a lot like the Arachnophobia. So in terms of fidgetability, this is very similar in a lot of respects. So I get tremendous fidgetability with the flicks. In fact, bringing it in and then pulling it out, I actually kind of prefer to a preloaded flick with this guy. So it just allows for good pushes, pulls instead of doing preloaded. So really high on the fidgetability. It does these really well as well, because most of the weight, you don't have to move a lot of weight. Sometimes the issue with this flick especially is if it's a really heavy spinner, it's just not that enjoyable. And again, despite being a heavy spinner, you can fidget with it. So if you like fidgetability and heavy spinners, I've said that a couple times here, but this is going to be good to go. Now let's talk about these buttons for a minute. They're huge. They're very flat and they feel kind of smooth, but somehow they manage to provide a tremendous amount of grip. And I don't know if it's just the amount of your finger that can make contact with it. So I really like the feeling of 2 fingers on it while it's spinning. I find this is a little tricky because when I pull back with my ring, my middle finger wants to pull back as well. So it's a little hard to, it feels a little awkward to pull it back like that, but a lot of times I'll do a spin like this and then I'll bring that finger up on it. It just feels nice having 2 fingers with these big old buttons. I wasn't sure how I'd feel about giant buttons like this because of the types of grips and spins that I do. I enjoy smaller buttons with small bowls, small dishes, but this guy's good. It's also, I find I'm doing more of like this flat grip as opposed to a pinch grip for obvious reasons. And that might be part of the reason why I like flicking as the preloaded flick when you're grabbing it like this as opposed to like this. I find it's a little harder. It's not hard, it's just harder, and you know, this sort of fidgeting is more practical. But really love the grips on these buttons, or the grip you get with these buttons. 2-handed spins, especially while I'm getting 2 nice fingers on here. It's a nice gyro effect, not too bad. It's got a pretty cool spin characteristic as well. There's so much empty space here. You know, the arms are so narrow, and then especially with these cutouts, the whole thing is pretty transparent, but because it's so transparent, but this outside ring is a little less transparent, it really lends to the middle of it, you know, looking like it's floating, so it kind of is like a ghost, a ghost spinner as it spins, which is pretty cool as well, especially with these giant buttons. Really dig the way this guy looks while spinning, especially here too. For whatever reason, I like how you just can really see through, so because obviously this is closer, this is wider. Then back here, you can kind of see that little, you see what I'm saying? That effect going on right there. I don't know, I just really appreciate, I really like spinning it and looking at it that way. So really, really dig this guy. So it's the Compoform Hydra. They've got a couple different versions. They make it in bronze, they make it in copper. I believe they're still taking pre-orders right now, so I'm going to try to link that down below, but it may be closing soon. It may have already closed and they just haven't announced it. It looks like the way you need to get in on these is join their Facebook group, and it looks like they've got like a Google Doc that you can fill out and submit. So this brand new, I believe, is the pricing's a little strange in the sense that I think it's $134 and $143 for a couple of the different versions. So they kind of make it not as black. And then black, they also do some ones that are a little more expensive with like a forced patina on it. And then they've got this really, really, really amazing, you have to see it, I forget what they call it, but it's like a tree design. So it looks like wood grain carved down here, the outside of bark, and then this looks like the cross section of a tree where this is the bark and these are the rings, and it's got like this, you know, as wood dries, it checks or gets that big split in it, and it's got kind of looks like a split going down the middle. Really, really beautiful piece. Those go for 300 and they're absolutely phenomenal looking. So it's a much higher end spinner at that point. But if you're looking for some functional art, that's the way to go. Really, really love this guy. I can't say enough nice things about it. You know, I've only had it at the time of recording this just over 24 hours, and it's hard not to put down. This is the spinner I'm reaching for the most right now. And again, part of it's probably the novelty that it's new, but I can tell I've handled enough spinners that this is a gem. It looks it's such a contradiction. It looks heavy, it looks bulky, it looks rough. You know, it looks like it's got a lot of hard edges, but it spins light and it spins smooth. So the way it feels in hand and the way it looks are two totally different things. So if you like light, fast spinners, but you like the look of bulk and ancient, you know, and you can throw a different bearing in here and get a much rougher spin. This is a pretty smooth bearing in here, but it's got just enough feedback, just a nice subtle vibration, subtle hum. It's almost perfectly balanced as well. I almost forgot to say that. Switch the arms. Now, part of that may have to do with such little mass on the outside and so much mass in the middle, but either way, it makes for an ultra smooth spin. No wobble, no judder. Love, 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 love this. It's August 31st right now as of recording. I'm not sure when I'm going to upload this. I don't think I'm going to quite have it qualify for my top 10 in August or top 5 in August, whatever I decide to do. But this is a gem of a spinner. This is one. I'm sorry I keep hearing things, especially the people that chat me often, and I love all the chats. You know, like I show a spinner and then you're like, oh no, I got to get that. That makes me feel good because it means I'm doing my job reviewing these guys and you're really appreciating them. For the most part, I'm only getting and reviewing things I think are going to be good, and for the most part they are. So, but yeah, let's put this back in here. Just so beautiful. Just so beautiful. So we're going to leave you with that, guys. Thanks for checking out the channel. Thanks for watching. Compoform Hydra, really got to get yourself some. Really amazing, top-notch, super high-end, super high-quality spinner for a relatively reasonable price. You know, it's up there in price a little bit, but it's less than, you know, it's less than a Trillium. It's less than some of the tungsten offerings out there. You know, I think that's priced right around right for what they're doing and what's going on here. So, button even spins in here just a little bit. If you lift it just the slightest bit, it's been in here. Oh, spin times. I almost forgot spin times. Holy crap. Not the most amazing spin time spinner, but actually not too bad. And I haven't cleaned this bearing, but it feels smooth, so I don't think it'll change too much if I were to clean it. But we get 502 on a vertical spin, and we got 345 on a table spin. So not too bad spins considering there's so much mass on the inside, but obviously we got some serious weight on the outside too. I shouldn't say serious, but like it's really centralized on the outside what weight there is, right, when you look at how thin those arms are. So pretty decent spin times, feels good, feels fast. Love, 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 love this spinner. Love it. Great work out there, guys. Kisses to you guys over at Compoform. And kisses to you, Internet Land. We'll see you later. Bye.